Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Storytime Network. Today we are back to doing some more D&D. Mill's going to be joining us in a little bit, but yeah. Kaido, you want to give us the rundown?
No. So,
Nope, we're going in blind.
last left our heroes, Aldane, the half-elf paladin, Seamus, the half-elf bard, Daron, the Genasi rogue, and Felix, the Eladrin painter. The four of you, along with Ruba, navigated through the Siltanok countryside after being told you weren't given a cart this time. You would have to make it on foot. But it was only a few days' walk. You made your way through, and you encountered some members of the cult and a very interesting, grassy hill. As the fight progressed, and you were beating up the members of the cult and taking them out, one of them ran inside the dome, only to almost immediately come back out, covered in this ominous black fire. And all of you were rightfully alarmed, but it didn't help that your Dracolich pieces were actually reacting to the scene in genuine terror. Rua lifted one of the nearby rocks to try and block the entrance, only for it to also be consumed in this black fire. Said black fire not leaving any traces of what was in its path. In fact, the human that went inside, the only bits left of him were some bits of blood that were coming off his body. Eventually you decided to just leave it as is because you didn't know what to do, and you were instructed by Oryx to leave as soon as possible. And so you continued your journey on, and how do I describe it? Basically, Aldane cast Find Seed, if I recall, after deciding to let the horses go on the carriages that the cults were using, and use that to continue your journey. You eventually found the entrance to the Underdark, seeing a few guards that were supposed to be protecting the entrance had been killed. You went inside and slowly followed the cults of the Tarask after finding them in the Underdark. During which you saw among their ranks was a white dragon and several other humans, and Colgin, the man who cut off Rua's arm. From there, you eventually noticed a mushroom whose spores will induce a berserk, maddening effect when inhaled. Which, upon burning it, half the group basically turned on the others and caused a big amount of chaos.
Oh yeah, I do remember that happening.
When you guys finally decided to come out and reveal yourselves, a fight was about to take place until an earthquake happened, causing all of you, the five of you, plus Colgin and his squad, to fall down into the black abyss. So I'm gonna say you're just falling right this second, the ground is going beneath you.
Geronimo.
You how do I describe it? Yeah, you're in the middle of falling. And how do I describe it? I'm gonna say you all have the opportunity to make an action, if you want, or a bonus action, or whatever you would like to do, to help yourselves in this crisis.
Hold on. I am looking up something right now. Give me a second.
God, I'm looking at the 5e character sheets. Why is there Illrigger and, like, Tactician? What are these weird things? Okay, anyway.
They're from Matt Colville.
Okay. One sec, I'm just gonna close my window. I had it open today because one of my neighbours is smoking weed and it's getting in through the walls.
Could be like that sometimes.
So, how close is everyone to me?
You're all like within 5 feet of each other. If any of you want, if you were to all like, you would all be able to touch each other.
Okay, give me 1 second. I just need to look something up really quick.
1 second has passed.
God damn it.
Well, no, it's fine because it's like JoJo's, where 1 second is like an eternity.
Time is a construct.
Really do be.
I cast Featherfall.
Ooh. How do you cast that again? Oh yeah, you're Genasi.
Yes. I was like desperately checking. I was like, I'm pretty sure I have this. But
Hmm. Yeah, that's it's a good idea.
Haven't used that yet. That's pretty nifty pull.
I truly just looked. I was like looking at Levitate to see if I could do some shenaniganery with it. And then I was like,
Definitely did.
oh right, I also have this.
I think a few you do. I'm sure Felix has it. Let me have a look. Oh no, he doesn't. I'm thinking of a different spell. Right then, yeah. Very nice. So yeah, you activate Featherfall. You...
I try to land like not.
So I'm gonna say with Feather, you can't see the bottom. It's
Okay.
that dark and that like deep. But that lasts for a minute though. So yeah. That'll. I'm just checking something. Yeah, that's fine. So as you're falling, you see Colgan and his group just, also falling. And you see him mid-fall, like turning to some of his men and just say, "Take out your scrolls and use them now." And you see several of them grouping up and casting Featherfall as well. Colgan himself pulling out a scroll and casting that too. As you all begin to fall together.
In a feathered-like manner.
Down into this pit. How do I describe it? You as you're falling, you begin to hear like the sound of rocks crackling and breaking from above. I'm gonna need you all to give me dexterity saving throws to avoid being clipped by the rocks.
Crap.
God damn it.
That's a nat 1 for you, and you still got a 10.
Well, you have evasion.
Holy
you
shit.
fail. You don't take.
Oh,
You still.
man.
You're still fine.
Aldane went ultra instinct here.
I will roll for Felix for the time being. I should also open up Brewer's character sheets. So, Brewer is going to roll a 14. Also, don't forget, Aldane gives you a bonus because you're near him.
Oh, right. What is that bonus all
Plus
day?
4.
3?
Plus
Plus
4.
4, so 14.
Yeah, so Brewer got an 18, Felix got a 22, and Daron got 14, Seamus got high as well.
23.
Yeah. So, you narrowly avoid several of the rocks. You, how do I describe it? You avoid them all. You don't have any issues getting out of the way of any of them. And how do I describe it? Yeah, you avoid the rocks as they come down. How do I describe it? And you do notice, though, several of the rocks, as they are falling, are hitting some of the members of the cult. Basically knocking some of them. Actually, let me make the roll. So, with the amount of people who are still left, not counting Colgan himself, who is floating on his own, there's 4 separate groups of humans that are all falling down. 3 of them get hit with the rocks. Some of them get crushed against the walls, some of them just get clipped and are, falling away from the group. Some of them just completely fall altogether. And yeah, it's not great. I mean, maybe it's fine for you guys because obviously they're your enemies, but
Whip.
yeah,
Rest in spaghetti, never forgetty.
they just fall down. As they fall, you hear them screaming, and after a while, you don't really hear them anymore. Some of them, anyway.
Anyways.
And yeah, you. How do I describe it? As they fall, eventually, as more rocks begin to fall, you actually hear the sound of some of the rocks hitting the ground eventually, after about a minute is passing. And after a while, you begin to see the bottom, and you see several corpses, mostly of the humans. And you see several bits of debris, like from the rocks and whatnot. And I'm going to have to ask you to give me a dexterity saving throw to basically maneuver yourselves into a position that would be... I'm trying to think how to describe it.
Holy
That's
shit.
better.
Just that you wouldn't fall on, like, uneven terrain. Because there's, like, spikes beneath... Not necessarily spikes, but, like... The stuff you wouldn't want to land on. Oh god, Rua did shit then. Felix did better. Felix got a 19.
I did worse.
Thankfully, the DC isn't too high. The DC was an 11, so...
Oh, cool.
And yeah, you maneuver yourselves away and find yourselves on solid ground. The five of you all together, safe and sound.
Yay!
Woohoo!
As you as you look around and sort of take stock of your surroundings, you see Colgan, and let me roll now. You see Colgan with about 7 other humans, all landing nearby as well. As you are... How do I describe it?
Fucked. What?
Imagine.
How you are? How do I describe it?
As you are all together... 1 second, I'm actually going to change the music. As I feel like... You know... to do the different change into... Is this the one I wanted to use? I need to get an ad blocker.
Probably a good idea.
It's fine. This isn't the one I wanted anyway, god damn it. This is fine. No, oh my god.
So what was the minimum dexterity save we'd need to get for the second one? Like a
11.
Oh, 11, okay.
Yeah, here's the music.
Okay.
So, as you come face to face with some of the members of the cult, you see Colgan, he covered head to foot in armor, with his helmet leaking out a mist. He almost feels like a wraith. As you stand before him. And as you and him look at each other, you watch as Colgan slowly draws his sword from his sheath and begins to bend down, placing the sword onto the floor and then moving a few steps away. I wish to call for a parley.
Can I do an insight check to see intent?
I'm also going to insight him.
Or just like, is this an like, can I get a sense of, is this earnest or not?
Yeah? Rua's also gonna roll. Damn. The three of you are locked in.
Yep.
No, we don't trust this fucker.
Meanwhile,
The fact is, Aldane, that was the sword he used to cut off Rua's arm, and you actually don't see any of a significant weapon on his person. Just going off that, and the fact that he he's also stepped away from his sword far enough that if he was to... So, to give an example, I'll bring his token on the field to give you an idea of, like, the distance from his weapon. So, here's his token, right? So imagine, like, this token is then his weapon. This represents his weapon. You know, the 5 of you are here, as you are anyway. And then Colgan's, like, here. So he would have put his weapon here, and then walked, like, a few feet away. So from the distance where he is at compared to his weapon, you would all have an opportunity to, like, shoot at him. He seems to be genuine as well, going off that roll.
I assume the parlay is non-aggression while we navigate the perilous environments.
Allow my men to leave here alive. And yes, we will do no harm to you.
I would like your oath on that.
In exchange, I would like to accompany you for this weapon. I do not wish to take it for myself. You can keep it.
What is your goal in following us then?
Originally, as he like makes a side glance at some of his men who are like clearly shaken up and like, you know, checking on each other. We wish to claim the weapon for ourselves to use its power. However, given the strength of all of you and against us, and also having lost so many of our people, it seems foolhardy to attack you now. I, however, wish to see what the power of this Dracolich can do with my own eyes. Still, going off the insight roll, he's not lying. Even though you can't see any of his expression, and his body language is extremely, like...
There's still something. You can still
reserved.
gain something from that, right? Like, that's kind of...
He's being very matter of fact. Not only that, but the whole thing of him putting the weapon in front of him, you know, as a sign of, you know, non-aggression.
What do you think? You think we should trust him on this?
I don't trust him at all, but...
He is being genuine, or at least in this regard.
If you wish to have a few moments to discuss, you can feel free to do so.
Tend to your men. Tend to your men, and we will confer.
He nods, and he just turns around, leaving the sword where he placed it.
Dairon just kind of looks... like, just tends to keep... like, positions themselves, like, facing, like, into the group, but, like, has their peripheral on the sword.
I'd say that if we allow him to accompany us, one of us keeps custody of his sword unless we're in a combat situation.
Well, Dan, I'm gonna say that's either you or Rua.
Rua, what do you think of this?
I mean, he cut my arm off. I'm worried that anything I say will be biased.
I mean with regard to
fair.
whether I or you... Actually, yes, I should probably hold the sword then, in that case.
I will say, the thing is, there's more of us than there is him.
Yes.
So I'd be fine with him keeping the weapon. After
could
all,
go
there's no point in walking around somewhere dangerous with someone who can't fight for themselves.
We can go full... we can go full Cuckoo Cocoa Puffs and give the sword to Felix.
I mean...
What
we
are these
could
Cocoa
also-
Puffs of which you speak?
Ah,
Ooh.
shush.
Otherwise, one of us could give him a dagger so we can at least fight with that.
The point I want to make, though, is that I don't trust him, but
Oh, thank God we're not going to follow that dagger line of thinking.
but this is a
This is probably the best bet to avoid bloodshed.
it's the best bet to avoid bloodshed. I don't like the cult as much as the next person. Less than you, Brua, but
in this scenario, they're the lesser evil than, you know, a Dracolich.
And who knows, based on the fact that this is the last piece, it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to have this extra sword arm. Especially one as powerful as Kulgan.
Yes.
Given the Underdark is full of horrible things from what I've heard, covens of drow that will do unspeakable things to men.
Yeah, it's just a bad time overall. So
All of
I
You're
vote.
making me excited.
No.
Hold
from what
on.
I've
Let me
heard-
get out the bonk stick.
From what I've heard, Seamus wouldn't like what they would do to men. If you like your penis, you wouldn't like what they would do to men.
Also, sidebar,
actually,
out of character.
all
Can we
all
just
of you-
actually have like a bonk stick in canon?
I need to out of character. I do need to step away for a little bit. But
Okay.
Dairon's vote is give the sword to Aldane and let take the deal.
Okay.
What do you think, Felix?
Mill's not here though.
What do you think, Seamus? Seamus?
I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have him armed in a combat scenario, but like, he could kill us without his weapon, couldn't he?
I do not believe he is a mage of any kind.
And given how he's wearing armor, I don't think he would be really. He wouldn't be on my level of martial arts. The only reason I can do a lot of what I do is because I don't wear armor. And it took me ages to learn how to maneuver myself with this, as he gestures to his artificial arm.
Hmm. Well, in that case, maybe we should consider holding on to his weapon unless it's in a combat scenario. At the same time, though, we want him to be able to defend himself.
True. I mean... we could let him just have a dagger, and then if the situation calls for it and we need, like, him to really fight, then we just toss him the weapon.
That could be a good plan.
That's if he's willing to give it back, but that might be the gamble we have to make.
We'll just have to... Oh, Mill's in the chat. Give Felix the sword. You know what? Let's give Felix the sword. What could possibly go wrong?
So, as you're sort of like sat there discussing things amongst yourselves, as you actually look to him, Colgan's surprisingly... What's the word? I don't want to say gentle, but fair with the few people he has left. Like, he's actually helping bandage some people up. After a few moments, you see Colgan walk back. Again, pretty much the same distance he had away from his sword. And he just looks to you all. Have you come to a consensus?
Yes. We will, the condition for accompanying us is one of us will hold custody of your sword, until or unless we are in battle situations, in which case we will relinquish it to you. We will lend you a dagger in the interim in order to defend yourself in case of ambushes. Is that acceptable?
Give me an insight check, all of you.
If not, we are willing to negotiate.
I'll use. Oh, I'll also open up Dyron's sheet because I know Dyron would be inciting.
Oh, Darwin absolutely sus this.
So, all of you notice the slight tilting of his head down at the weapon. His weapon, I should say. It's very subtle, but you can clearly tell he's considering the option. And it seems as if he's thinking of anything he would like to propose. And he then lifts his head slightly back up again to look at you all. I don't see why not. If that will make you at ease, fine. And he takes a further step back away from his weapon to then allow one of you to basically go and pick it up.
Aldane moves over to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. As you pick up the weapon, yeah, it's... I mean, you remember the look of the weapon and how it, you know, easily cut through Rua.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, how do I describe it, though? The sword itself, just check. It's, the actual edge of the blade is extremely sharp. And you remember it, like, cutting through Rua's arm, like, ease. And it looks like one of them. Like, this is definitely a weapon used to hurt. And as you take the weapon and put it in its sheath, Colgan just says to you, please take care of it.
Very well. Now, we do need to provide you with a weapon so you can defend yourself.
That's what we appreciated.
Would you prefer a dagger or a quarterstaff?
I care little for what weapon you give me. Anything in my hands will be a good enough weapon.
Very well. Dyron, you have some spare daggers.
Darren also isn't here. But I'm going to say, for the sake of it, that Darren just gives Colgan a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. As Colgan takes the dagger, you watch as Colgan says, before we move on, given that some of us are in a state, I would like to bury the dead before we press on.
Of course.
And you see as he, again, walks off and goes to the... He walks off to the... Hello. Yeah. So, you guys have the weapon, and Colgan's basically just accepted the deal and now has a dagger. He basically has walked off to bury the dead. He's asked for that before you move on.
I'm willing to respect that.
Also, I'm gonna let Felix hold on to the sword.
So now, temporarily, you have a sword of sharpness.
Well, Felix isn't here right now to actually talk about it, but...
You would need to attune to it, though, before it's usable. But if you attune to it, that means Colgan would lose his attunement to it, which would then make it a worthless weapon.
Mm-hmm. We're not gonna attune to it. So like I said, I'm giving it to Felix for now.
But yeah, you notice, though, as Colgan is, like, taking some of the bodies and trying to bury them, he's like... You notice there's a gentleness in the way that he is disturbing the ground. Like the way he's digging up the earth. It's very like, I guess gentle is the best way to describe it. And yeah, during this time, if any of you need to make a rest for any reason, you can. It does take Colgin a while, especially because most of his other men are too busy staring you down or are just not in that right state where they can adequately help him. Just see. And yeah, do any of you discuss anything amongst yourselves while you've got this time?
Are you okay, Rua?
I'm fine. I
Okay.
mean, I don't like him for what he did to my arm, but I can get over it for the sake of the mission. Don't worry.
No, I wasn't expecting us to invite him to holiday dinners, but I mean, Aldane might, but that's a different question.
I mean, I only need to take a short rest at most.
As you are just sat there watching Colgin, eventually, after about an hour, he eventually is able to bury all the bodies. Not a lot of them have much left. If you were to have counted it, you basically see him bury about like 6 people who have anything recognizable on them. After that, Colgin gets up and just says, "Now that is done," and he walks over to the group of humans, and from within his like sack that he has, he pulls out a scroll. He places the scroll on the ground, and from within it, you see it's basically open up a teleporter for the people to go through. He helps some of the humans through it, and after they're all gone, it's just you and him.
I just muse kind of quietly to Aldane. Why do I suddenly feel like a villain?
I don't know, you kind of have that vibe sometimes when you're going really dark.
Yeah,
There's no need to feel any remorse. I am your enemy.
somehow that makes it worse. Tyron just chuckles and just shakes her head and starts getting ready to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, do any of you have any means to know where we need to go?
We have an idea. We're not as familiar with the Underdark and navigating it, but we can sense our general proximity to the peace, as it were.
Understood. And yeah. So, you have Colgin in the party.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Social link up.
If there is anything you wish to know about me, feel free to ask. I will
Vulcan will
volunteer
now
any
die for you.
I will volunteer any information as long as it will aid us in our quest.
What intel did you and your team have when you guys were sent on this mission about the beast?
Well, we know it is a Bahia, and some of our scouting parties have even came into conflict with it during our time in the Underdark. It had unnaturally tough skin to pierce, more so than it would anyway, for its kind. Perhaps it is the case of the Dracolich in its enhancements. In any event, we found out that ordinary weapons are extremely ineffective against it, including things like unmagical bows.
Curious.
Good to know. I have a question. Here's another question. Did anyone who came into contact with the Dracolich here escape?
2. Out of 3 different scouting parties consisting of about 30 people for each group, only 2 out of those entire groups came back alive.
And
Hence why we brought the dragon this time, to hopefully lure it out, so that we could use it as a lure.
fair. I guess my next question is going to be, based on the resources you had at your disposal, were you able to determine any kind of anatomical differences?
He pauses for a moment, and he's actually going to roll an intelligence check. And yes, that is his intelligence score modifier even.
Yep.
Ah, so it's his dump stat.
From what I could remember of the reports, apparently its lightning breath was also augmented with acid. In addition, I don't know if you know already, but Bahias can choose to bite and swallow creatures, inside crushing you against its stomach acids. However, from what I heard, the people who were being absorbed inside of it were taking even more acidic damage.
I see.
The one time that any of them could deal enough damage to even get it to regurgitate a corpse, it had already been too melted down. Even with some of those of the champions that you've seen, you know, the ones with the clawed hands. One of them was eaten as well, and that died almost instantly inside it. Hence why they sent me as well.
I'm gonna roll an intelligence check.
For what?
Just to, like, based on what description we've been given, to kind of get a sense of which, I guess, organ this Dracolich is.
So you have the eye. Felix has the wings. Aldane has the arms. Seamus has its brain. You all have gained the power of the stomach. The only other parts of the dragon you feel like would be of note is its scales and the heart.
And we know who has the heart.
Yes.
Very likely that this is the Behir has gained the scales of the Dracolich.
I assumed that was already implied from what I said, but...
It's helpful to state it outright. Mostly just for...
Dairon, did you just do that for dramatic effect?
What? Do what?
The statement.
Well, no, I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a slave to drama like you are.
No, you're a slave to fashion.
Yes, we've been over this.
Which is also drama.
No, it's not.
Is there anything
Let me
else you need
relate.
to know?
No, that's actually quite. This is all quite useful.
Yes.
It gives us a sense of what we're getting into and what will happen afterwards as well.
We're not in for a fun time, but we never
Nope.
are.
Now, may I ask a question?
Shoot.
How is Leon, my brother?
He's acclimating quite well to his
Out
new
of character.
situation.
Where did we leave him?
He's in custody with Centralis.
Cool.
Like they're protecting him, and he's helping.
I forgot to check on him last time we were there.
He's acclimating quite well to his current situation. Last I heard, he was doing quite well for himself.
Then let's go.
All right.
So, as you look around your surroundings, thankfully, you do still have some light. You still can see fairly clearly. There's only really one way to go, and that's like, how do I describe it? You only really have one way to go. So I guess, unless you were to somehow climb back up, which would be easier said than done. So what is the marching order going up, for the sake of things?
Aldan will
This
be
can
at
be-
the front.
This can be a pretty wide traveling group, so it doesn't have to be like as strict as it normally is.
Aldan can stand next to Colgan.
Rua will be at the back because he's the quickest anyway.
Oh,
Seamus will be at the back because he's the squishiest.
Well, I mean, it also means Rua can potentially defend the rear.
Darren wants to be at the front.
It makes sense for me.
he is.
I do have dark vision now.
Genna is really leaning into the whole trap discoverer role, or rather the stealth scout, because they are a good stealth scout, right, Tyron?
It's kind of my bit.
Darren played Skyrim and was like, yes, stealth archer.
I mean, it objectively is the best.
It just works.
If this were like a 20th century or a 19th century game, he would be a sniper.
Yep.
So, as you are walking along, you give me perception checks, all of you.
Ah, good old Percepcion. I am kind of doing really well on my rolls this session so far.
Aldane decided
Well, now you
to
jinxed
lock in this session, and Rua's actually doing kind of shit.
To be fair, Rua's kind of dealing with some things.
The double 20s is Colgan.
I don't think any of us have bad perception modifiers, if I'm being honest.
As I think Felix is the worst. But that's fine because everyone else is godly.
Yeah.
So, as you all look around and gaze at the surroundings of like the various mushrooms and the various like flora, you begin to hear trickling water. And as you look, you begin to notice the ground around you isn't necessarily completely, what's the word? Whole? You're actually walking on a sort of like bridge of like earth. It's clearly sturdy because it's holding all of your weight, but you can actually see like beneath you is like some water rushing further down, coming from like the opposite direction you guys entered from. Like it's heading further in, so to speak. Around you also see various bats of different sizes flying high above the area. And how do I describe it? You even see in like the far distance, Dairon and Seamus, and Aldane actually, I'm going to say the three of you do. You even see like some kobolds. How do I describe it? Basically walking along with what looks like some sort of butchered animal, as if like they're walking back to their lair to eat their food. They're far away though, like to the point where you would need to fly to get to them. But that does at least inform you of some of the life in this area. Also, in kind of the opposite direction from looking at them, you see what appears to be light coming from like flames. So it might be there's a settlement down the other direction. A settlement of what? You don't know.
Do we really want to go that direction?
It could be potentially dangerous. I'm deferring to your judgments on the matter. If need be, however, I am actually very skilled at tracking. So if there's any footprints, I can gauge what creature or people there might be.
Did my perception check notice any footprints on the path to that settlement?
From where you are, no. It's going to take you a while to get there. Probably like... It's going to be a good bit of walking.
Well, it's a coin flip whether or not the settlement will be hostile or not.
He looks to you, Dairon, Colgan. You have superior vision, do you not?
Yeah.
Well, if any people happen to be nearby, you could always listen for them out and see if any are going to approach us.
Keeping an eye out.
From what I can gather, most of us have good perceptive abilities. We can check if anyone is watching us, I should say.
I also have blind sense out to 30 feet, so...
Well, if anything comes from beneath us underground, then that is also a boon. Again, I will defer to your judgment, however. If you want to avoid it, fair enough. If you want to engage, also fair. So what's the plan, fellas? Out of character.
Might as well go onwards.
So, as you continue along, how do I describe it? You, I think the best way to describe it. You are walking along, and as you walk along, you notice Holden is surprisingly quiet despite the bulk of his armor. He's not wearing heavy armor, but he shouldn't be as quiet as he is. In fact, the only one who's really making noise by walking is Aldane.
I mean, that's the standard.
And yeah. But, how do I describe it? As you're walking along, Dairon, you feel a hand on your shoulder.
I instinctively put a hand on the hilt of my dagger.
ease. There's tracks.
Do I see this track?
You see tracks. My apologies for scaring.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm mostly just cautious today.
Right. Well,
They can attest I'm usually skittish on these missions.
Colgan looks at the ground. I mean, of course he is. From what I can tell, the feet are of varying sizes. However, one thing I can tell is that these boots are elven in make.
Let's see.
Were they made for walking?
God damn
And
it.
that's just what they'll do. The only thing I can assume is that this is a collection of drow we're heading towards.
Quite possibly, yes.
Going off the size of the feet and the general shape, it's very likely this is a female drow party that was maneuvering through these areas.
Ah, boy.
I would recommend the ones of elven blood should hide their ears.
Aldan puts up his hood.
Rua, like, because he doesn't have a hood on his coat. It's just like a high collar. So he's like, does anyone have like a hat or anything I can wear?
Byron tosses through a hat.
Puts on the hat and tucks his ears inside. What about you, Seamus? Are you putting your hood up?
Seamus's long hair covers his ears usually, so he just sticks with that, pulls his hair out of its ponytail, and uses it to cover.
Felix will cover. I'm just going to assume Felix is going to follow the group and cover his ears with his hood or whatever he has to cover his ears, if he has anything. Colgan just nods. Good. Ideally, if it is drow, we can always walk around the settlements, provided there aren't scouts making reconnaissance. But it seems like we have no choice to potentially engage with them. From what I know, drow will often use poison. So take care not to let any arrows clip you if possible. Easier said than done, I know. So, what's the plan, fellas? Are you just going to continue along?
May as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Dyron doesn't have a. I don't have a better plan. So
I don't know if there are better plans available.
Fair enough. So, you continue along. And, you know, as you maneuver through the Underdark, Dyron and Seamus, remind me, what are your passive perceptions again?
I think mine's 22
Oh.
or 23. Let me double check.
25.
Yeah, you blow mine out of the water.
24. Mine's 24.
So, the two of you and River all begin to hear the sound of marching in the distance. You can't see the source of the sound, but you know there is marching coming in the distance. Subtle enough that you have the opportunity to potentially hide, or at least I should say find a place to hide, to see who it could be. However, it is coming from the direction of where the settlement is, so there is a likelihood of what it would be, but nevertheless. If you choose to hide, there are various rocks, and there's even a few like caves and some large like bushes and just plants that you can hide behind. There's enough space for all of you to hide if you would like to.
Hmm.
What's the plan, fellas?
We're going to have to. Could you go into more details to what you noticed?
So, Aldyron and Seamus, two of you and Drua. It sounds like it's a few people. It sounds like people in armor. You don't know what kind, but you know it's enough to like hear from a bit of a distance. Part of it as well is because of the Underdark being like it's not super bright. It's rather dim. It's been pretty dim for a lot of your travel so far, so you can't really see further than what your dark vision mostly allows you. And the bits of like lighting you can see here and there isn't enough to help you see what it could be that's approaching. Just that there is there is things coming your way.
They're coming towards us.
From the sound of it, yeah. Alright. Let's try to stealth. Felix, can you cast Pass Without a Trace?
No. Oh god, I forgot. I'm gonna have to like. Okay, I'm just gonna say, Ink used. Felix will trace without the pass. Do you see that in the chat?
Yep.
So you all have a +10 to your stealth checks.
Can I try to give help Aldane with his stealth?
Okay. If you're doing that, then you will have to be with Aldane wherever you decide to go. Which means
Okay.
if you get caught, if Aldane gets caught or you get caught, the other one's going to get caught, I'm going to say.
That's okay.
So this is going to be Felix's stealth roll to begin with. With a 25, you'd love to see it.
So Aldane, you would get advantage. Roll
This-
normal.
This is Rua's. That is a 21.
25.
So Aldane got. Well, so this is a.
Oh, wait,
so
no,
the roll's
it's-
neutral.
Rolls
It's neutral, so you actually get the 28.
Good. Very good.
This is Colgan's. That isn't right. What? Why is it saying heavy armor? It's not heavy armor. Oh, okay. Right. Let me try that again. Okay, that's fine. So we actually, I'm just gonna go with the 19 because he rolled that first. That was just me checking to make sure it's correct. Because yeah, he doesn't have disadvantage on stealth. So yeah, he got a 29. Seamus, are you rolling?
I'm scared. Everybody's.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have no choice unless you want to get caught.
Okay, cool.
See, you did better. You did better than Rua.
I know, I just
In
always
fact,
end up
Brewer
rolling kind of
rolled the-
shit on stealth and I get carried by someone else
Brewer-
rolling good.
Rua rolled the worst.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you all like, because you kind of have to split off a bit, like down different sides of this path you're on, and yeah, you begin to hide. Eventually, it gets to the point where the rest of you can hear the sounds of the approaching people, and you do see there's about 7 women, all purple and darkish skin colors, with varying pale hair colors. Some white, some grey, some like dark grey. You know. And they're all covered. Most of them are covered in like armor. There's only like one that you can see that looks like they're clearly a spellcaster of some sort, but they're all like walking through. And they all have torches actually as well. Or most of them have torches anyway, I should say. If you all want to properly hear what they are talking about, give me a perception check because they are speaking in Elvish.
Oh, hey, I know Elvish.
I mean, you should all know Elvish.
Am I in a position to read lips?
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll be nice. So can you, Seamus.
Yay.
Finally, a good roll from Rua. Colgan also got a decent roll. And then I'll do this for Felix. He rolled shit. That's fine. He's not here anyway. So you begin to hear the lady, the drow at the front, just say, "Right. It's not too much further ahead and we can find out what the source of that earthquake was. And if anyone was nearby." One near the back, you see the spellcaster is like right in the middle of this group. But you see one of the people near the back just say, "Do you think it could be the Bahia?" To which another one replies with, "Probably. It's been the reason for a lot of these earthquakes lately, right?" The one at the front just says, "Earthquake or not, we need to be careful so that we aren't ambushed by it. After watching them humans getting chewed up by the Bahia, we should do our best not to end up like them as well." And they continue marching further away.
Oh.
From where you came from.
Shouldn't be an issue anymore.
It takes you about like nearly a minute before because they're not like marching super quickly. They clearly know to respect the Underdark in the area, so they're marching at a different pace to you guys, is what I should say. And eventually they go out of sight, even with their torches.
Okay then. Let's keep moving. Stealthily stealthing.
Interesting to know that they saw some of my men getting attacked. I would have liked to have got answers from them, but I don't know if I would have been satisfied with the answer.
Or if I needed them. I need. Yeah.
Most
Let's
likely.
continue.
Let's go. Alright.
So, all of you give me perception checks as you continue your journey. This is Rua's perception. That was... Wow. Oh my god.
Albanian flubbed that one.
Colgan's... Oh my god.
We're all doing great, guys. We're all doing great.
Felix, can he carry us?
I hope so. Hey,
Oh my
it's
god,
better.
He really did.
It's a lot better. What?
No, just the rolls in general just are bad. So Rua and Felix basically like have you guys halt, like tell you to stop. And how do I describe it? they stop you, and Felix actually, because he actually got the best result. He points up into the sky, near where there's like a luminous mushroom, so you can actually see some of the area above. And you see large insects flying. You begin to hear the droning of their wings as you actually pay attention. And you see a group of about probably 12, you can count, flying off in another direction. They're high enough where, unless you guys really try to bring yourself attention, they shouldn't spot you. But still. And eventually the insects fly by. And yeah, it's not like to the point where you have to necessarily stop to, you know, let them go by. It's more just, you know, pointing it out to you in case it could have been an ambush. We should, Colgan speaks, we should be wary of any spiders. Drow are known to tame spiders. And there are even some drow that become known as driders, which are effectively half spiders, half people. Very dangerous. Although any kind of drow isn't good for us to face, if we're being honest.
No, but the half spider ones are, aren't those ones cultists or something?
I mean, all drow are generally cultists, and even the ones that aren't cultists are still not to be messed with.
But the spider ones, aren't they particularly devoted adherents? Or am I misremembering?
I think you're
remembering
something from the very popular story Baldur's Gate the Third.
Oh yes, that one.
Who's Baldur and what is his gate?
Don't know. They never explained that in the series.
Why is he bald though?
No, his name is Baldur, not Baldur.
I mean, he is bald, technically.
Yes, but that's beside the point.
Anyway,
Aristocrats. What?
as
The
you
aristocrat.
continue along, you see the light from the settlement begin to grow. And as you are walking, you actually find a good vantage point to actually look down to the settlement to see if you can find anything of interest. Do you take the opportunity to look out?
Yep.
Yep.
I assumed you would anyway, but you know.
Yeah, no, it's good to it's good to ask the question, just in case we're stupid.
Rua locked in.
Fucking hell.
Rua
None of us
Rua
need to do a
decided-
perception check at that point.
Rua decided to just put his hands together like binoculars and just...
Double twos. I got a double two.
So fucking funny.
That's Colgan. Yeah, Rua's like, you know what? I'm done rolling shit rolls. Hold on a sec.
He decided to
God,
carry
I
this
Do
round.
another perception.
Hold on. Let me hard carry.
Hard carry?
Oh, Seamus did really good. But yeah, so Rua looks out, and as you guys are like struggling to make out much, Seamus, you do notice stuff, but Rua's like, there's this, there's that. So to start off, he's like, oh, it's actually not full of drow.
Uh-huh.
And he basically points to you guys, like, at the gate. There's actually, you see some, like, dwarves at the gate. Then as he points further in, you see what looks like a few kobolds. You see some deep gnomes. You do see some drow, but like not as many as you would have been led to believe.
Rather cosmopolitan for an underground city.
Hmm. And yeah, he's just like pointing out, like, he's like, oh, there's a few Kenku as well. There's
Sorry.
a few Kenk. And yeah, there's actually, even from the looks of it, some Dragonborn.
Should we approach cautiously then?
Hmm. And as he pauses, and he brings your attention near one of the largest buildings in the area, and it's basically a big mansion that sits at like atop of this hill. It's, what's the way to describe it? Almost if the building is like above every other place in this dwelling. It's kind of like a decently sized town.
What a
It's
humble
definitely not
abode.
it's not as big as like Centralis, but it's bigger than like Venari.
Mm.
You know, it's definitely a good size. But the mansion itself is like the most, if not the most important building, it's one that's like of clear renown.
Hmm. Well, it is, if nothing else, quite large.
I'll be honest, if this is as nice as it seems to be, I don't see why we can't go through the entrance.
Might as
Or
well.
at least attempt to do so.
But wait, looks can be deceiving.
True, but generally, from what my mother told me of Drow, they generally keep slaves, and they aren't very nice to them. So to see kobolds, especially, who are generally still considered lower class in some societies, from what I can see, be allowed to walk without anything like a chain or a collar is a good sign.
As I
What's
said,
the over under?
Hmm?
What's the over under that we misunderstood the drow culture?
I mean, my mum was part Drow.
Okay, so maybe we do understand drow culture. Cool.
From what she told me, her family history was traced back from the Underdark. And considering her family came from Bovetment, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the origin of her family. And
it's
then they
entirely
could have
possible that
migrated
there's
over.
regional differences in the Underdark as well, though.
Who knows? I mean, this is a different landmass to Cordis and Cologniopol and such.
True.
There is an entire ocean between both landmasses, so could be regional differences.
Yes,
We won't know unless we investigate, though, if we want to.
precisely. Might as well. I see no reason not to. Beyond, caution.
At worst, we'll just knock out the dwarves and run away.
Mm.
The ones at the gate, I mean. We're not going to specifically just knock every dwarf out.
That would be a bit, yeah.
It'd be weird. Anyway. So, as you... how do I describe it? As you are walking down to this settlement, let me find some new music. Excuse me. Sorry about this, I'm just trying to find the right music. the one. Yeah. We'll use this song. Why not? There you go, Jack.
Alrighty then.
So, you approach the entrance, and you see one of the dwarves holding his hand out. You assume it's to him. They both have beards. And to your knowledge, you know females, dwarves can grow beards. And it doesn't help that their armor is quite androgynous, so who knows?
Is how it
Could be
is.
pecs. Could be pecs, it could be breasts under that chest plate. One of them just calls out, "Halt! Who goes there?"
Yes, we are, traveling adventurers, in search of a, specific artifact.
While this is happening, can I just watch for body language changes that might be hostile?
Yeah.
Like, essentially, like, if they're gonna grab their blade or whatever, almost like a...
So, they both have axes, and they're both holding theirs with one hand anyway, like stood up.
Hopefully neither of them
notice-
has an axe to grind with us.
Well, who knows? I see. And what brings a group of people like you in search of this artifact then? Must be pretty important to bring surface dwellers.
causing earthquakes.
The artifact is
Oh.
in the, possession of a certain, dangerous entity, let's say.
The Bahia.
Correct.
You watch as one of the dwarf that's not speaking walks to the one who is and whispers something in their ear. Seamus and Dairon, give me perception to see. Because the problem is, because of the beard shape, it's also obscuring some of the lips.
I don't think I got it that time.
Dairon, you hear him say, "Maybe we should bring them to the chiefs." To the chief, sorry. And the dwarf that's speaking with you looks to his companion, or their companion, I should say, and nods. All right then, give us one moment, and they, you notice the one that's speaking to you pulls out a sending stone, and uses the stone, and they put it away and just say to you, "If you can give us a moment, we will bring escorts for you to come in."
Alright.
Oh,
After probably only a minute of waiting, you you come across a how do I describe it? You come across a drow, a lady drow, head to foot in armor, with only some of her face being visible. Alongside a bugbear, also female. And surprisingly enough, the drow is actually taller than the bugbear, and the bugbear is like taller than you, Aldane. Not by much, but like a couple of inches. And the drow just like gestures for you to follow.
Dairon will follow. Dairon will walk in, but is very, like, wary.
I mean, yeah, I assume you all are.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Dairon's, like, twitchy today.
I mean, Rua's got a hand on his sword, ready to draw it.
Yeah, no, fair.
As you walk through this settlement, the houses are of pretty good make. Like, I mean, the material's different because they don't necessarily have the same access to stuff like the surface would. But it's still of good make. Like, they clearly look livable. And you notice most of the townspeople, like, in decent clothing. Like, nothing too extravagant, but, like, you know, they seem well cared for. How do we describe it? And yeah, you see some kobolds, you see dragonborn, like I said, you see some dwarves. Especially Dwergar, which are like the Underdark dwarves. You see some deep gnomes. You see a couple of dragonborn, like I said. And you see various goblins as well. And yeah. Eventually, you find yourself being led to the extravagant large house. And it is, yeah, it's a very good-looking mansion. You know, it feels like something you wouldn't miss out of like the upper district in Centralis. Almost, it looks nicer than your home, Aldane.
Nice.
And yeah, the drow walks to the door knocker and taps it a few times, and the door just opens. There are people stood at the opposite sides of the door as guards. One of them is a dragonborn, and another one is a dwergar. They nod to the people who are escorting you, and they lead you inside. The moment you walk inside, you feel a slight chill. It's not like really cold, but it's noticeable. And as they lead you inside, you see a the first thing you see is a circular table with half the circle having chairs along it. And at this you see 4 drow, all women. You see a goblin, just a normal goblin, not bugbear or hobgoblin. You see a kobold, and you see a deep gnome. All women. The one that sat in the middle, in terms of how the seating is arranged, one of the drow, cracks a smile. She has rather short hair, like cut short, not. And yeah, she has a how do I describe it? She has this sort of confident gaze, as if she knows she's the hottest shit in the room. But it doesn't feel like it's unearned, just based on how, like, as she's preparing to speak, the other ladies all look at her as if they're waiting for her. As if she almost speaks for them as well. And she's just like, so, I've been informed that you have some knowledge of the present events that are taking place here.
Only the broadest strokes.
Well, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. My name is... let me find the name. Naivara Moran. This is the... no, that was the wrong thing from the right click. That's her name.
A pleasure to meet you.
Give me a Give me a intelligence check, actually.
All of us?
No, just whoever wants to do it. Of course, everyone.
Nope.
Aldane, not so smart.
Is this? Yeah, it is him. So, Seamus and Rua, remember this. Moran is the surname of Rua's cousin, Neres. You know, the one that you fought back when he first got the Moonblade? A while ago. And yeah, Rua does actually whisper to you guys. That's my mother's surname. And she
That's
looks at you all,
awkward.
and she looks at you all and just says, "So, who are you all then, if you don't mind me asking?"
Byron, like, doesn't. Dairon doesn't try to draw attention to Rua, as they're trying to let them decide if they want to out themselves as the King of Cordis.
We are
So-
a group of, I guess you could call us adventurers, known by the name of the Nameless Guard.
They were hired by Cordis to
I don't-
track down.
I don't necessarily care for the motivation. I want to know your names.
I'm Aldean of the
I
House Sionadel.
Okay, Stuffy Noble. And she giggles a bit to herself. And she
That's
looks
fair,
to
I
you.
suppose.
She looks to you, Seamus, waiting for your answer.
I'm Seamus. I'm a bard from Tenoyama.
She looks to you, Dairon.
Dairon Gale, formerly of Povetment, now of Centralis.
Smart decision. And she looks to Felix and he gives his name. I won't try to pretend to imagine how he would say his stuff. He can do that whenever. She looks to Colgan and just says, Colgan is all you need to know me as. And her eyes, like, narrow a bit, like Divonright's. And he shakes his head. Well, I was named after him. I'm not the man himself. And the Navarra nods as if fine with that answer. And she looks at Rua for a few moments and she says, "Oh. Am I to assume you're Rua Everay?" And
Well, the
we're gonna
cat's out
call
of that bag.
And we're going to call a break for now.
I was like, oh, that cat's out of that bag.
We're going to call a brief break to potentially for Felix to be here, and also I need to have a whiz and get a snack. That isn't myself.
Snacks are probably a good idea.
I'll be right back.
As will I.
I'm back. Hello? Oh no, I'm all alone.
Hey yo.
No, I'm not. Hello. How's the
All
session?
by myself. It's alright so far. Not a lot of action yet.
Fair enough. I mean, what's it called? I was gonna do some actiony stuff, but I thought I'd rather do that after you've sort of, because it's been a bit as well. It's been a couple of weeks, so
Right.
don't worry. I'll be making sure to give you a reason why the Underdark should be feared.
Fair. Yeah, because so far it's just like we've reached that town so far, right? Or was that just the gate in?
You're inside. Like you're actually inside the what's the word? Yeah, like you're through the town. It's just you're just having to speak to this person at the moment.
I always kind of like I don't mean to, but sometimes I end up spacing out during the roleplay parts.
I can get it.
I love some good old BGM.
So true.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome in back, comrade.
Looks like we might not be
Do we
getting
have-
well today.
I was gonna say, do we have him yet?
No, I
No.
just pinged him. He hasn't responded.
We want to just call it then, and then we reconvene next time.
Yeah, it feels kind of wrong to do a whole session without him.
I'm not missing him. It's a joke. I'm joking. I mean, let's give it a couple more minutes, and then if we don't even hear anything from him, then we can end it if people are feeling it. But I'm fine to keep going.
I'm fine with either, but I do feel like it would be probably for the best to end it if we don't hear back from him soon.
Yeah. getting the itch to play Baldur's Gate again.
Again?
Dominoes or cunts?
Oh,
He is not having a fun time at work then.
like, no. I was gonna post the domino meme, but
Nah, that'd be a bit mean.
alright then. Well, we can. I'd say that today isn't a bad.
We've made some progress.
Yeah, you've got good roleplay out. You've got a new temporary party member in Colgan.
I see this as an absolute win.
Here. So, yeah, I don't mind calling the session here then, if Felix can't attend, and it does feel weird not having him here, and also just like there are times where his input would help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can call this the session then, if people are fine with that.
Yep. I'm fine with it.
And well, you're the stream man today.
Alright. Well then, thank you everybody for joining us. In terms of future stuff, we have streams generally on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Otherwise, just keep an eye out for us here on Twitch. Subscribe and all that. And also on YouTube. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Please press that bell icon. And leave a comment down below. And thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.